I'm going to cut through the Gloucester Green Market. You've seen this enough by now to have an idea of roughly where it is on the places I walk to. And then go down Abingdon Road and round Donington Bridge or similar. It's just too nice a morning to stay in, and I feel that I need the exercise. Here's the little Italian restaurant that I mentioned. Always looks very nice, and I've had some nice meals there. Gino's.
You look rather menacing with that.
I'm doing a series of sort of virtual walking tours.
Very good. That's not
putting them up on YouTube. That's not menacing.
Okay.
Thanks.
That's all right. Enjoy your wander.
Cheers. Janosch appears not to be here today.
Morning, gentlemen.
How are you?
Hello, how are you?
What's going on here? Are you on
Not cheap, but it's very good. Infrared, darkness as well. I'm too old to fight them.
I'm now walking along George Street. That is New Inn Hall Street, with St Peter's College to the right and the Wesley Memorial Church. I'm looking south into Queen Street. This time of morning there's not much activity. It's just after 9, and the students who are going to go out will be in their lectures or laboratories. Let's go along George Street. morning. I don't know what's happening here. Deep excavation, it says. The grandeur of Balliol on one side and Boswell's department store and Waterstones on the other. Sadly, Boswell's is no more. This place has been boarded up for ages. It looks as though it's finally being converted into something. Corn Market Street.
Look after. Oh, you're back together.
Chap often comes and busks an acoustic guitar outside the church here, but it's too early. The busking spots don't open until 10 o'clock.
I'm the bad person.
St Michael's Street ahead and the Wesley Memorial Chapel at the end.
I'm presuming I don't need to.
And I'm now looking at Carfax Tower in the centre of Oxford. This is rather mean. There used to be a public seat here for people to sit on, and the cafe, whose chairs and tables you see grabbed the space and had the seats removed. So now if you want to sit, you have to pay. Missing bean. No, sorry. Fernando's Missing Bean is just the brand of coffee. Not a nice thing to do anyway.
He said, I've never heard that. I said, well.
Crossing from Carfax onto St Aldate's, the beginning of the Abingdon Road. If I go down this side, there won't be quite so many bus users to get in the way. This side is devoted to eastward buses to Cowley, rather than southbound buses to Abingdon and Didcot. Christchurch, Tom Tower. The main post office, still with its charmingly named posting box. G&D is a local ice cream chain. They've got 3 shops, one here, one in Little Clarendon Street and one on the Cowley Road. Sometimes you see their staff wandering around dressed in cow costumes, promoting the shop to new students. St Aldate's Church advertising the Alpha course on Christianity. Pembroke College, which is in a nice secluded spot, and it's a bit more of a human scale than Christchurch. The entrance is down there on the left. Pembroke Square. At this time, there are very few visitors yet waiting for Christchurch, and we can see through the gates and into the quad, and there's a fountain. I seem to remember that the fountain is called Jupiter. I don't know why, I must look it up. Or is it Mercury? I stayed down some way south of here once for a time, and it was a very good summer, walking up every morning and looking at these gardens from the cafe there, not the so-called independent cafe then, but still serving nice coffee. Looking at the gardens every sunny morning was beautiful. Right, I said I would say more about this. I'm assuming that you know the books Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass, and Tenniel's illustrations, Alice done in the style that you see here. This shop was here when Lewis Carroll wrote the Alice books, and he incorporated it into one of them. I think it was Alice Through the Looking Glass. It's run, if I remember rightly, by an old lady who is either a sheep or turns into a sheep, or in a strange dreamlike way has a bit of sheepness about her. So it's sometimes called the Old Sheep Shop, and it's remained, as far as I know, a shop ever since the books were written, and now it sort of markets itself. It's the Alice shop. That's a drawing of Alice trying to play croquet with a flamingo, something that doesn't work too well. Open every day, 10:30 to 5. Oh yes, and Oxford has an Alice Day every year, which I think must have happened Saturday the 4th of May. There's the white rabbit.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Everyone wanted after that.
Oh, yeah, Alice bags. That's the Cheshire cat, which sits in a tree and slowly disappears until all that's visible is its grin. And Alice finds herself wondering, how can you have a cat? How can you have a grin without a cat? But is that any more ridiculous than a cat without a grin? There's the Mad Hatter, who has a very strange tea party. Apparently hatters did go mad because of the mercury that was used in felting the hats. That is, in compacting the wool to make it more waterproof and durable. A few little Alice figurines here. White rabbit wearing a page's costume. As far as I know, the pages, in the sense of servant, the pages were not actually rabbits, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh, and there's another page. No, that would be a herald because it's blowing a trumpet. Or
We're pulling out all the stops to get everyone back.
that is a Tesco. Unlike the Alice shop, it has no tradition and there's nothing interesting to say about it. Speedwell Street. The courts. I really shouldn't be making videos like this. What I mean is that I shouldn't be making videos in which I come across obviously mentally ill people squatting under undercrofts and deserted doorways and such like, because I ought to be in a country where the authorities care enough to look after them, which ours don't. It's turning into quite a lovely morning now. I feel the sun warm on my bare skin. I just crossed the road after another long wait. The Oxford traffic planners love their traffic so much. I'm now looking at the head of the river on Folly Bridge, the pub. Grab the handle and stay well away from the parapet because I don't want to drop this in the river. Sunlit water all the way down to Donington Bridge, and I can see at least one lot rowing. River cruises, and the Folly restaurant, Thames side residences.
I film. Single file along
or low.
Let's have a better look at the Folly. Nice ironwork. nice brickwork over at the end. I don't know whether that was part of the folly or not.
We are just
Bricks were a different colour. This Golden Rose Cafe has been deserted since, pretty sure, before the pandemic, maybe even 2018. I've no idea why somebody doesn't take over the building and use it for something. Beyond there is the river. Coming soon, the Edge Hotel. I noticed they've coloured it the same colour as Microsoft's Edge browser, web browser. I wonder whether that's deliberate. Well, I'm now fortified by a cappuccino, a pastel de bacalhau and a pastel de nata. The pastel de nata is a sort of very rich egg custard tart. Pastel de bacalhau, I don't actually know the English for. Bacalhau is cod. And pastel is a sort of fairly generic term, but I think it's cod mixed with potato and parsley. And cappuccino these days is the same the world over. So I've just been sitting at the Aqui Port Cafe, Aqui being the Portuguese for here, but misspelt because it should have a QU. And next to it is the Aqui Port shop, which I often come to for my olive oil. It sells the big national Portuguese brand Galo and independents such as Flor de Serra, which make a nice change from Tesco's extra virgin best. There's a pub called the Berkshire Arms, and that's the Aki port. The names down here are Portuguese brands. Super Bock is a beer, and Compal is a fruit juice, and Sumol is another fruit juice. Right. Okay, well, it's still a lovely warm morning, and unusually for Britain there's no wind, which often takes 2 to 5 or so degrees off the apparent temperature. So I'm going to change my plans. Instead of walking down the Abingdon Road, I'm going to turn left here and go through a village called South Hinksey, and then up onto a ridge the other side of the big ring road, the A34. I will make it all the way there and back, but my video may not, because I doubt that I've got enough battery. This is quite an old phone and the battery is wearing out. The gimbal I'm using, the Hohem iSteady, is fine. Good thing it's the phone that's a problem. So I'm now walking northwards along the Abingdon Road, but not for very long. I've mentioned art weeks before, displays of art all over Oxfordshire which take place in May. This is one of the adverts for them. Lake Street. The trouble with streets like this is that all these will park on the pavements, which means that you don't really have any choice except to walk on the road. there's an old advert. Probably this was once a shop. Gordon Street. The South Oxford Community Centre, they'll be advertising Art Week too. I've done an art week and the organisers charged a ludicrous amount for those lengths of bunting, the string with the blue and yellow flags hanging from them. I think they were about £20 each. Right, I'm now at the end of Lake Street. I've pointed this out before. Bertie Park is a park at the south end of Abingdon Road, which is due to be largely obliterated. If anybody feels strongly about it, look up the QR code. Art show in the community centre, and William Blake, the poet and artist. Now I'm walking south again, but only for a very few moments. This is the lake that Lake Street refers to. Plant sale, 19th. Plant donations welcome. Deserted apart from a swan. Okay, that's the lake, and you may recognise this. It's part of the picture that I used in my logo, the little circular one at the top right of the web pages. I took that from a photo I had of the far end of this bridge. That's St Luke's Church over in the distance, still deserted. This is the main railway to London. And of course that is the bit of it that goes to Oxford Station. That over there, if my battery holds out, which it probably won't, is where I'm going, over on the ridge beyond the A34. That bridge over to the north takes us to a stretch of land called Hogacre, which has a eco cafe on it that's open during the summer. That's down off that side of the bridge, and that's the other end of the bridge. Footpath there may not look like very much, but it takes one round the edge of a field to Hogacre. Okay, I'm now on the Devil's Backbone. Apparently this is a name given to lots of old crooked paths in Britain, or at least England. This is ours. I believe that in Dante's Inferno, Satan was indeed large enough that you could walk up his backbone if you'd really wanted to. Possibly he was even much larger than that. Those are cows. Okay, let me continue. You can see that I'm twisting around rather a lot. Look at the angle of the rail. Right. There's a well-known nursery rhyme about a crooked man. There was a crooked man and he built a crooked house, and he had a crooked cat, and they found a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a little crooked house. This would be ideal as the garden path for the crooked house. I'm now approaching South Hinksey, and also, as you can hear, the A34. If you go down that footpath, you're going roughly south, and you come out at Redbridge, somewhat west of Donington Bridge. Typical parish notice board of the village. This is South Hinksey. There used to be a pub here, but it closed a few years ago. In fact, I think there were once two pubs in South Hinksey. Can't remember the names now. One of them might have been the Golden Cross. Maybe the other was the General Elliot. Or was it the General Elliot and the Cross Keys? But as the landlord of one of them, as the landlord of the second one to close, or the last one to close, explained to me, people tended only to come to it in the summer, and most of the people in the village didn't use it because they were too busy paying off their mortgages, or too pressed paying off their mortgages. That, as he said, is the reality of village life in 21st century Britain. roses. South Hinksey. Village Hall, and they have a fete just round the corner in a field behind the village hall every September. One year I went and there was a chap wearing a blue suit, sort of sky blue suit with red circles, made by a company called Oppo Suits, who manufacture clothing in traditional shapes but brilliant colours for people who want to look more vibrant than normal. Oppo Suits. That's a lovely colour, though it's not restricted to South Hinksey. Road and St Lawrence Road. Now this is yet another bit of awful traffic planning. The A34 just was slapped down in the middle of South Hinksey and chopped it in half. If you look round, you'll see bits of land that are obviously the remnant of old roads. Including, I think, one round here. Not quite sure where. Maybe straight through. Then there was the noise, which the planners did bog all to screen. I mean, nobody's going to want to sit there anymore. And then there was this bridge, the Chilswell Bridge, which I'm coming to. You used to be able to walk straight through the village on one of the little streets I just mentioned. Roads I just mentioned, but now you have to go along here to the left, over the bridge, and then an equal distance back, which takes about 5 minutes. Just completely thoughtless. Why? Push people out of their way like this and do nothing to remedy it. So South Hinksey is now permanently blighted by noise. And getting from one side to the other has been made much less convenient than it used to be. I suspect a fair number of houses were wiped out too. I ought to look that up. Oh well. Don't know what those are. Nice. You see, it's taken me all that time just to get to the bit of the bridge that actually crosses the road. Grab the gimbal tight so that I don't drop it into the road. Hinksey Heights Golf Club. That's a footpath that goes up through the golf club and some wild wood up to the top of Harcourt Hill. This, as far as I know, used to continue down into the village. It's been obliterated and not replaced when the A34 was built. And, well, it must have been a continuation of the Chilswell path, which I'm now going to go up. Chilswell path. This, I'm sure, would have been once just a continuation of South Hinksey. So would this. water down there. Little stream. You get a lot of nice wildflowers here later in the year, including brilliant indigo vetch, member of the leguminosae, if it's still called that, with leaves that look rather like those of a sensitive plant and flowers the same sort of shape as a beans but smaller. Lovely indigos and blues and purples. Electricity pylons are a big feature of the landscape. There's a substation down just south of South Hinksey, and to the north of it along the popular footpath there's a sort of huge insulating track laid into the ground. Friends of it and I used to call it the Neolithic tramway, for reasons that will remain obvious, that will be obvious when you see it. I think it's even marked as Electric Way on the maps. This is a lovely pathway through some reed beds, Chilswell Valley. I'll do that another time. It's quite special as a rare habitat. Ground is still dewy. Well, I was getting odd signals from the software there which I didn't understand. I may have taken a section of video which turned out to be a time lapse or something else that I didn't want. Hopefully I'm now back to normal. I'm applying the time-honoured method of when in doubt, switch off and back on. Well, I think that says video. Ah, top of the hill. Over there is Oxford, although you can't see much of it from here. In order to see it, you need to go higher across the Chilswell path after it's turned right, and then up to Boars Hill. I won't do that today because my battery would never take it. We'll do more on Chilswell Valley another time. This path runs alongside it. There are a lot of seats, which is nice. Such as this seat. So that one actually is a bit grimy. I think the one further up is cleaner. I once sat here watching the view on a lunchtime very much like this, looking over there and happily eating a Sainsbury's raspberry trifle. £2.50 and too full of cream to be entirely healthy, but really nice occasionally. I wonder what the significance of that is. Maybe just to lay on. Right. There's some really posh houses. That is Hinksey Hill over there, and that is one of the big houses up there. Another seat. Seize the day. That's the same as the Latin carpe diem, isn't it? Dog rose. That was an experiment to see whether I can video while running to help me get further within battery limits. It's a bit risky because the ground is full of cracks, holes, dips and crevasses. And the phone is probably shaking a bit, and I don't want to shake the gimbal so much that it falls apart, though it feels like pretty solid engineering. Also, I don't think I can run while holding the gimbal in both hands, so I'm not providing the steadying influence of both arms. Yellow butterfly. Midges, lots of midges. This used to be open land, and there was a farm on the right, distinguished by a large metal barn and a huge pile of rusting rubber tyres. Now the farm has been poshed up into a big house, which you'll see when I get to the end of this path. Something I mentioned in my walk through North Oxford, Marston Ferry Road and the parks was the Dragon School. Up to a few years ago, their sports field was open. That is, it was only surrounded by hedging to waist height or so, and you could see over it. Now it's got some impenetrable dark green leafy thing growing much higher, which it destroys what urban designers call surveyability, because it makes the layout of the neighbourhood harder to understand. It also spoils the view and cuts out sunlight. And the people here have done the same thing. Imagine how more pleasant the footpath would be. You see, they really don't like walkers. Imagine how much more pleasant the footpath would be if these hedges were removed and you could see over the hill and to the land beyond the crosswise path that I'm coming to. Like that. That, I'm fairly sure, is the same big metal barn that used to be full of rotting rubber tyres. Tractor tyres, probably. Though I don't know why a farm would want so many tractor tyres. Chilswell farmhouse, and that is one of the posh houses that I'm talking about, though maybe not the only one. path up there past the fallen tree goes to Yulebury Woods and a scout sort of scout meeting place and a convent and some footpaths and Boars Hill. Oh, they've replaced... No, they've put in some new signs. I wonder why. The All Other Houses sign doesn't point in a very sensible direction because there are houses down there too, unless something's destroyed them in the past few weeks. Right, I'm now getting a battery warning, so I don't think this video is going to make it all the way through, but I'll do my best. This is a continuation of the Chilswell path, and it goes from Hinksey Hill, which is the one I sat watching while eating a trifle, to Cumnor Hill. And there's a footpath up there to Boars Hill. I think this is going to shake the phone too much to work. Oh no, they've signposted other houses too. I mean, nobody round where I live gets signposting of that quality. If we climb that path through that field, we get a very good view of Oxford, central Oxford, from the top. that goes into the farm or farmhouse. Ah. No reply. I have to say, it's looking particularly sheepish. And there's a magpie. The sun is warm on my back. still wet this late in the season. There's an old English joke. How do you worry sheep? Shout mint sauce at them. That's by way of an experiment, just running on short sections to see how it comes out. That is with the pointed green spire. Where is it? See it at all on this bloody screen. If there is a building with a pointed green spire visible, it will be at the top of Harcourt Hill, and it will now belong to Brookes University, the second university in Oxford. Used to be a teacher training college. And there is a path coming off this track on the right there too. I used to walk up here a lot, maybe 2, 3 or 4 times a week. And then one day I came along and I found that the farmer had piled great steaming piles of manure in front of several holes in the hedges, or gaps in the hedges I should say, where ancient footpaths were spoiling quite a bit of the walk. Not all of them were marked as public footpaths, but you can see by looking at the state of the ground, its compaction and so on, how much it had been trod down, that they must have been used for a good few tens of years. At least, maybe centuries. Not sure whether you're, strictly speaking, allowed to go up that side of the hedge, but it takes, off the fence, it takes you to the top of Boars Hill. Feels quite warm now. Might even be, I don't know, 23, 24. Not sure what that is in Fahrenheit for readers in the US. Viewers in the US. Okay, that's the end of the mid-stretch. There used to be at least one pathway through those trees on the horizon, more like 2 I think, which the farmer just went and plonked his cow dung in front of. May be still quite wet. I'm now coming off the Chilswell path and joining a track that will eventually become a road up the middle of Harcourt Hill. So I've got further with the battery than I actually thought I would. But I still have to be careful not to trip in holes. Sorry,
Right.
I'm doing a series of virtual walking tours.
Right.
Ow. If I tend to tilt the screen downwards at times, and I know not everyone likes this, then I do have to watch it in order to maintain my own footing. What would be good would be a sort of AI application, a program that would watch the ground for you and shout out where to put each foot and warn if you're going to hit any boulders, puddles, crevasses, etc. Foot nav. I'm sure the state of image analysis and terrain analysis is actually far enough advanced for us to be able to do this, though it'd need training on a lot of data from English footpaths. Footnav. Even better would be to have it connected to a sort of exoskeleton, a powered framework that surrounds you so that you don't have to think about the steps yourself at all. The AI and the exoskeleton, the framework, do it for you. And that shouldn't be so hard. I mean, if ants can do it, why can't a program? SSE is one of the electricity companies, possibly Scottish and South East. And this is, I suppose, some sort of transformer maybe, or substation beyond there. That's the humming noise. Mains is alternating current. So the current is constantly going up and down. Sometimes it's zero and sometimes it's not. And it pulls on the metal the transformers are made of to a different extent as it goes up and down. So it vibrates it, and that makes the hum. Those fields now belong to Brookes University, and they're public. There's something about both farms and railways. Both of them contain strange, unidentifiable pieces of derelict and rusting machinery which looks like nothing you'd find anywhere else, and which you can never work out the name or purpose of. You see this out of a train window every time you look into a railway siding. Actually, I think it's true of boat yards too, and the tops of narrow boats. Coming to the end of the dirt track bit now, and to the beginning of a proper road. And here is the road bit of Harcourt Hill. Right. That is Brookes University building on the left. I know there's a library there because I once found somebody's library card about a mile down the road and climbed back up here to deliver it. That I think is, or those are new, I think. This hill is full of posh houses, and I saw builders recently trying to squeeze new ones into the space that was left. That's the green spire that I saw from Chilswell Path. Reason I couldn't see it more clearly, I've worked out, is that my screen's colour definition isn't very good, and on the screen the spire looks almost the same as the sky. Mind you, this is some of the brightest sunlight that I've had this year. Buses go from there, so Brooks buses run partly by Brooks and subsidised partly by Brooks, but available to everybody. Vernon Avenue. Path. The road goes along there and curves to the right and connects with a nature reserve and a footpath that goes down into the wild woods I mentioned, accessible through the golf course.